Hi, I'm Ben Hellstone from Phantom Rods. We're here today with Alps Tackle, filming some little tips and tricks with binding your rods. We're going to look specifically at some little highlighting details like trim rings, trim bands, and some simple spirals. So let's get into it. To start off with, we're going to be looking at some single strand trims. So the first one will be a trim at the start of the wrap. We can start by taking your trim colour, in this case yellow, and putting it on the blank first. So we're just going to wrap it around and tape it down, ensuring that when we do wrap it, what we get is a cross. We're going to start our bind back on the further side of the cross and start to work. Because we're going to start with our base colour, we're going to wrap over this and then fix the trim up later. Now that you've got your trim stuck on there, wrapped around the blank, forming a cross and coming back down to the tape, we can grab our base colour, which in this case will be purple, and start. And like I mentioned, we're going to be on this side of the blank, on the wrap, sorry. And so we'll start by wrapping down, just to start your wrap as per normal. Tape it in, so we'll start doing our wrap. It's ready for me to trim. Jump over. We'll fix our overbind up a little. Trim it off, and we can keep going. After we've got a bit of base colour down, we can start looking at the trim band. So we'll take the tape off. Now you can see what we've done. We've got two tag ends here, and as we pull them, this trim will come back down and slide up against the base here. But the tip is to add something. In this case, I've got a little burnishing tool. I'm going to place it in here just to make sure when I slide down that I don't go too far and pull my wrap up under. Let me just carefully fix it up while maintaining tension. Just go over it with your fingernail just to push it back down if it's sticking up in any spot. With that complete, we can now trim off the tag ends. And we can keep going with our bind. The next trim band we're going to look at is one that you can insert anywhere within your binding. So we'll take our trim, and you'll really see I've started with my base colour, I've started laying it down. And what you want to do is with a bit of thread of your trim colour, just to slide it in underneath like that. We'll now do a few wraps to lock it in place. Just be careful you don't overbind on it. Now we've got 3 or 4 wraps down, there's a bit of pressure holding it. What we can do is then take your trim colour, and what you want to do is fold it over the current bind you have. So we're going to take it over and then wrap down on the blank. Putting a nice single line through, and then we're going to pass it back under where we're going to wrap. That way, when we continue our base colour, the pressure from the wrap will hold it in place. Sift it down through. Then we can continue on making sure we straighten everything up. Now there's a couple more wraps on there of the base colour. It's holding it in place. We can just tidy up that transition. Pulling it tight so it becomes as minimal as possible. And then you can trim. And keep binding. That way you've got a nice single strand in. To clean up the other side of the tag, I find it's best to pull it this way, just so you separate the threads a bit. You can either put a razor blade down in the gap, take the trim over and set it on. That way you're left with a tiny gap that you can put your burnishing tool across and hide the little tag end. And that's the completion of a single trim.